What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. You know what's funny about this whole House of the Dragon and Rings of Power kind of battle that's going back and forth? It's so hard to find information that's positive on the Rings of Power. Meanwhile, House of the Dragon, no problem. Stuff just coming out, flying off the shelf. House of the Dragon viewership up 5% with episode 4. You try to find like the viewership, like what's the viewership numbers on episode 3 of Rings of Power? Nowhere to be found, right? You can't find that shit nowhere, man. I've been looking too. I've been all online. You will not find one single solitary article discussing the simple matter of the viewership numbers for episode 3. Or viewership in general. It's like it's a dirty secret. They don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's sad. Yeah, it's like Rings of Power came out like what, Friday, right? And House of the Dragon came out on Sunday, all right? But in 2 days, they had hey, here you go. Up 5%, we're doing great, okay? You can't find nothing on this other show because they don't want to talk about it, right? They don't want to talk about it. All they want to do is just continue to gaslight the hell out of the people. Now get this one. The Rings of Power and Harley Quinn are teaching an important lesson about letting Canon go. So now they just want you to hey, look, what are you worried about that canon for? Just let it go. Come on, fans. Come on, fans. Just let the canon go. What do you even care about canon for? Isn't it important that we just kind of stop paying attention to all of these important events that happened in the thing that you fell in love with and the lore you love? We're just going to go ahead and just dismiss all of that, right? It's like they don't understand, like the fans became fans of this particular franchises because there's a canon with history, with characters, with important events that we fell in love with. Like, why do you think we like this shit to begin with? Come on. It's like ridiculous, man. It's like, yeah, we like the stories and we like the characters and we like the lore and we like everything that happened into it and we became fans. Nah, let all of that go. So basically, you're just saying let the fandom go. Don't be fans of this stuff anymore. Like, what do you think is keeping people watching this stuff? But the thing about it is, man, all of these articles that you read, just like this one, they're just paid off, okay? They're just paid shells. They're not going to tell the truth about how they really feel about this whole situation. They probably sitting there typing these articles up and just snickering and laughing to themselves because they automatically know, man, this is bad. But we're going to get paid a hefty little sum. By the way, this is on GameSpot.com. I'm not going to read all the way through this, but there are a couple of points. When you're talking about canon, fellas, come on, man. Like, canon is fandom. You know, for the most part, canon is fandom. And when you start shaking up the canon, like, you might as well just throw the whole damn franchise away at that point. But let's check this out real quick. So he makes this little point here. He's talking about canon. He says, you know, essentially stories are all made up. They're inherently flexible, but there seems to be a belief in fandom today that what has come before is sacrosanct, while also being incredibly selective about what we want to pick from. Look, you can't tell us what we should be selective about. If we choose to be picky as fans, that's what the hell we choose to do. If we want to say, nope, you can't change this character. Nope, this character can't be race swapped. Nope, this character should be doing this, acting this way. This is his character, right? Then you just got to leave it at that. That's what you got to do. Like, and it's funny because he brings up Batman, right? And he says here that Batman throughout his history has morphed and changed from a fantastical private eye to a schlocky superhero to a gritty vigilante to a psycho in a costume to a father. Now, whereas a lot of that is essentially true to a certain degree, but Batman still has a character, right? Like, these are all surface level things that you're talking about, but a lot of the deep rooted things that are deep down inside of Batman, like, you know, him being haunted by his parents' death, that's canon, right? Having no real superpowers, you know, just kind of being at the peak of human physicality, right? That's part of canon, right? You don't change that, do you? Batman being extremely intelligent, right? He's a detective, world's greatest detective. You don't change that, do you? Being driven by a strong sense of justice. He has his moral code, doesn't kill people, right? Like, that's kind of Batman's character, right? And not to mention, he has this kind of offbeat split personality, right? Like, he's kind of Bruce Wayne by day, and then by night, he's a, you know, a dark creature of the night, you know, a vigilante, you know, that's going around punching criminals in the face, right? You know, that's part of Batman's core. That's his character. That's who he is. You don't change that, right? Well, that's what we're talking about when we talk about canon. There's certain things, there's certain events, there's certain characters that are just a certain way. Yeah, you can always say, well, he's gone from being, you know, and maybe the schlocky superhero back in the 60s wasn't that way. But yeah, you can say, yeah, a vigilante, a psycho, a fantastical private eye, all of that kind of stuff just kind of, yep, we can accept all those types of different iterations of Batman, but the core of his character remains the same. But then he goes on, he's talking about canon. He says, canon is a bad excuse for racism, sexism, and hate. See, here we go, okay? Like I said, it's just fan blaming, folks. Just fan blaming, okay? These guys just want to blame the fans for all the negativity that's coming out. They're not going to look at the folks over there at Amazon that didn't make a good show, okay? They're going to blame the fans. They're just going to keep blaming the fans. And the thing about it, like, if nobody's liking your show, you can't put that on the fans. You got to put that on yourself. We've seen again from House of the Dragon that everybody's liking that show, regardless of all the race swapping that they're doing in there and the powerful, you know, strong females that don't need no man. All of that kind of stuff is in there. And guess what? So House of the Dragon ratings, here we go. Mostly it's just still an 8 out of 8, right? You know, 51%, 22%. Once again, roughly about 75% of the fans, the people that are watching it, give it a 9 or a 10. All right. Not the same with Rings of Power. It's still getting dog walked and dragged all over the internet. Once again, not so with the Rings of Power. As you can see, you know, still 24% roughly of the people, 1/4 of all the people that have rated this thing are giving it a 1. Okay. So it's still a big difference between the two. So you can't sit up here and say, well, it's, you know, it's all about racism, sexism, and hate. That's not what's going on here at all. Blame is just another word for responsibility, right? Okay, so what you're saying is the responsibility of fans to like your trashy show? No, it's not. You know, if your show isn't good, it's because your show isn't good. You didn't do a good job making a show that fans will enjoy, all right? Back to the drawing board. You know, the funny thing is, as he's talking about canon, when you're talking about Lord of the Rings, a fandom that has been in existence and people have absolutely adored this particular franchise. And if you're talking about, you know, getting away from canon, maybe you need to get closer to the canon Rings of Power, because if you got closer to the canon, maybe you wouldn't be looking at these types of numbers right here. Maybe your numbers would look more like the old House of the Dragon, all right? Dominating, okay? Maybe it would look more like that. I'm just saying, you might want to think about that next time you decide to go out there, hijack a franchise, and make somebody else's stuff and just completely ruin it. But anyway, go ahead, folks. Let me know what you think about this situation. More fan blaming. You're just going to see more of this, okay? Amazon's going to pull out all the stops, pay out everybody to write as many bad articles about the fans as possible, claim you're racist, you're sexist, you're terrible, horrible people. Shouldn't you be ashamed of yourselves, fans? That's basically what Amazon's going to be doing from now until the end of this year. And then probably starting up with season 2, they're going to kick it right back up into gear. But go ahead, give me your thoughts and your opinions in the comments below. And thanks for watching. See you next time.